The last month of film photography has been filled with experimentation. From creating a camera obscura, trichroming 16mm motion picture film, and of course, growing salt crystals on negatives. This is photos I made in November. Starting off with something me and my flatmate Zoe technically made at the end of October is a camera obscura. For those of you who don't know, a camera obscura is a device created before photography was properly founded, and is pretty much a massive box with a hole that lets in a small amount of light, projecting the image of whatever is outside of that box onto the wall. This process has been around for centuries, going back to the Egyptians, and is a practice so rich in history, and I've always wanted to make one. Luckily enough, they're really easy to make. All you pretty much need is a room, a window, some bin bags, and a small hole. The process of setting this up is pretty simple. You just black out the window with bin bags, have a bit of card with a hole in it that works as the lens for the camera essentially, and you're done. I'm so happy me and Zoe got around to actually making something like this. They are so cool. I couldn't really film much footage in there because of how dark it was, but I did get a series of long exposures that I think are really cool. And here are some images of Zoe using it as a drawing aid. Also this month, I was privileged to be involved in a workshop with my university where I got to shoot some 16mm motion picture black and white film. We used this amazing camera called the Bolex H16, and it was such a fun process being able to do this. But it was while we were shooting the 16mm, me and Zoe had the amazing idea to trichrome it too. For those uninitiated into trichromatic photography, it's the concept of where you shoot on black and white film, 3 images, one for a red filter, one for a green filter, and one for a blue filter. Merge the colour channels together and you get a fake colour image. The problem with this process is that any imperfections in these images are highlighted through these RGB chromatic aberrations, but I think they look really cool. I've done series of self-portraits like this before and I think they've turned out really well, so this time doing a motion picture, it was going to look crazy. We were limited to only 50 feet of Kodak 722XX, so we only trichromed a few shots. The first was a close-up of Zoe's eyes, shooting it through each filter for 4 seconds. And then I merged them in After Effects, assigning them each their colour channel and kind of moved the images together so they aligned a bit better. And I think it looks amazing. The scans we have of the film aren't the highest quality, but I think the visual effect created from the trichromatic process is just still so visually amazing. Knowing the kind of process that went into filming, developing, scanning, and then editing, it is just such a fun process, and to see a final result look like this, I'm so happy with how it looked. The second trichrome we set up this composition, and I modelled for the red and green filter, and then Zoe modelled for the blue filter, so our colour channels were kind of merged together. It created something unique. It still looks extremely visually interesting, don't get me wrong, it's just definitely not as strong as the trichromatic eyes. Shooting 16mm for the first time was insanely fun and I really want to do it again. Some of the shots like this one where we didn't put the lens on the camera properly, so it ended up distorting how I look really cool. If you do want to see the full 2-minute short film we made, you can find it on mine and Zoe's Instagram page, linked in the description. Moving on from motion picture to something more abstract, this month I experimented a lot with chemograms. Chemograms are a very abstract darkroom process where you kind of just mix and match chemicals and resistance to make a image, I suppose. A lot of these I created in a position of boredom, but some of the results I got I think are some of the best chemograms I've made in ages. It was a while ago when I made this chemogram, which has been my favourite since, and now that I've made these, I think these are actually kind of rivaling it. I saw this one Instagram post where they used masking tape on top of the darkroom paper and it created this really interesting effect when they developed it. So I did a few experiments trying that out and they looked really cool. So cool that I actually thought I'd try and do it on a portrait. I lined up the masking tape perfectly with where the eyes of the model would be, and it's kind of created this interesting effect. I don't know what I would do in terms of a means of a project like this, but it's just fun experimentation and I thought I would include it here. Speaking of portraits, that leads us perfectly into the final topic of today's video. For my most recent uni project, I've been exploring the technical image and processes of obscuring the image in camera and using post-process destructive techniques. God, that is a mouthful. For this, I have taken 3 models, my 2 flatmates Zoe and Erin and my girlfriend Emily, into the studio and taken obscured portraits using the Mamiya RZ67 to kind of render the images softly out of focus or extremely out of focus. And although these portraits look uniquely abstract, I don't stop there. Using stuff like drain cleaner, which is very abrasive against film emulsion, and also growing salt crystals on top of the negatives, which is something I love doing, I've created these extremely unique and abstract images, which also kind of represent a decay of memories. I've had so much fun making these kind of images. It's so fun using these kind of techniques I'm really good at in a uni project for once. This month has certainly been crazy for experiments for me. I've done so much new, interesting processes I'm so proud of. Going from before where my last 3 months I had done so little to this month I've done so much. I can only hope December is even funner. Again, a big thank you to my flatmates for helping me out this month with this. You can find Zoe's and Erin's photography accounts in the description. Thanks for watching and Matt out.